Hello, welcome back, Boxer1 here, and today we're going to be looking at something pretty cool. This is LEGO Heroica Draida from 2011, and I recently got it complete for only $3. Today we're going to be looking at the game itself, and I'm going to be showing you through the little instruction manual on how to play it. I'll also be showing off the poster for the set, and just some other cool stuff about it. Now we'll get into the set first. It comes with 8 little of these mini figures, as I call them. Are they nano figures? I don't think so. I don't know what you call them. But they're cool. They're pretty cool little figures. You get 5 goblins, not 8 goblins, 5 goblins, a goblin general, a barbarian, and a mage. Also called a wizard, by the way. You also get a health regen potion, a gold piece, which we'll talk about later, and these 2 health bars for either of the heroes in this set. You get a dice with stuff on it that means nothing right now, but I'll talk about later. And finally, a small little built-up board to play with. As you can see, it's a pretty small set, and it's actually the second smallest of all the Heroica sets, with only a polybag being smaller. And yeah, I think it's still pretty interesting though. It has some pretty cool little figures, I think, and some pretty cool little just features about it. So without further ado, let's get into the how to play section. Now opening up the instruction manual or how to play manual here, we'll see the description. The Goblin Army has seized control of Draida Bay, cutting off supplies to the region. You must take a stand against the goblins, but can you defeat the powerful Goblin General and take his Crystal of Deflection? I'm very good at reading and don't stumble over my words ever. In the set, it shows the heroes, the monsters, the items. This is what a space is, and you see in all of these, this is each one space, and that'll be important for the next page. But first of all, the aim of the game is to defeat the Goblin General, and whoever defeats him first wins. Now, I said the dice would make more sense later, and this later has come. And this is basically tells of all the different things the dice does. So there's when moving and when fighting. Now, you fight monsters by just, walking up to them and saying, hey, I want to fight you. That's basically what you do to fight a monster. You just get on the space adjacent to them. Or next to them, whatever you call it. It's pretty cool. You can either use your hero's range skill when moving, if you hit the shield, which is the black and gold one, and when fighting monsters, if you land on the shield, you can either defeat your monster or use your hero's melee skill, which we'll talk about in a second. That's just right over here if you want to read it quickly. But we'll talk about that more in depth. When moving, you'll see that this sword has a 3 on it, and that'll only be active when moving. This is inactive when moving, and vice versa. When attacking, this 3 is inactive, but the sword is active, and you'll see that for the rest of these. If you roll a 2, you can move 2 spaces. I think I said this, but if you roll a 3, you can move 3 spaces. And if you roll, where's the 1? If you roll a 1, you can move 1 space. When fighting, if you roll a sword, which is complicated, a sword, you defeat the monster. Pretty simple there. Very simple there. If you get a skull, this skull, you lose health equal to the monster's strength. So if it was the Goblin Warrior, it would be 1 strength, so 1 health lost. If it was a Goblin General, it would be 3, which means you're on 1 health. As you can see, you only get 4 health there. If you land on a sword and skull one, of which you only get 1, you both defeat the monster and you lose health equal to the strength of the enemy, and you move back a space. Just like in this one, you also move back a space away from the monster here. And there's just some other simple stuff down here, like you may not move or fight diagonally. And you've probably seen it already on this side of the screen. This is all about the different monsters and heroes' attacks. This guy, the Barbarian, has a melee skill, which defeats all adjacent enemies within 1 space and allows him to move 1 space. This wizard has a range skill, and it allows him to defeat a monster, a singular monster, up to 4 spaces away, which is pretty powerful, actually, for winning the game, even. But the monsters only have one special thing about them. They can move, or they can't move, so that's not important for them. Unless you're playing a versus match, which we'll talk about later. But they only have 1 strength for the Goblin Warriors, and the Goblin General has 3. Health, we already talked about that. If you lose it, you're out, basically. And to replenish health, you can either use a life potion, which is only used once per game, and it replenishes 2 health. And if you lose all your health, you have to roll until you get enough health. And to determine that, every one of these, so if you get 1, you get 1 health back. If you get 2, you get 2 health back. And if you get 3, you get 3 health back. You cannot fight in the game until you get your health back. The other thing about here is, well, obviously, I already said this in the beginning. First to defeat the Goblin King wins. And you keep your defeated monsters item on your hero pack there. Hero pack, of course, being the health bar. And of course, it's a Lego game, so you can change things. Changing the game basically just means fixing the board, making your own missions, changing rules. Simple stuff like that. Crystal of Deflection. You may have seen it, it's this. And that actually makes it a lot harder to play. If you want, you can place the Crystal of Deflection on top of the Goblin General's head. And that basically gives him an entire extra health pack. It basically makes him immune to a single hit, and once he is defeated, you just remove the crystal from the head, and you fight him again. So it basically makes it 2 times as hard to actually win the game. Where did he go? To win the game, and it's pretty interesting. Now, this is actually leads into this as well, Battle Heroica, which is what I said was Versus before. Now, Versus, or Battle Heroica, is where one player plays as the monsters, so the enemies, and then 1 or 2 players play as the heroes. Now, in case of it being 1 player, or 1 player playing as the heroes, he controls both heroes and has to move both of them in the turn. And then for 2 players, obviously, 1 controls each hero. But for this, the rules are a bit different. It's the same as the rest of the game, with rolling the dice and everything, but it does mean slightly different stuff, specifically for this. It means the same for the players, but for the monster, you cause 1 more health than your monster's strength to be dealt to the player, and then the hero also moves back 1 space when hit. So basically, if you control Goblin General with this on, and you hit somebody, since he does 3 damage, he basically one-shots now. So, really powerful ability there. But remember, the player can also one-shot you. But yeah, it's surprisingly simple. It's a lot of words, but if you really listen to it, it's not too hard to remember or think of, at least for me. You may find it slightly harder. If you did, you can always go back and just review the rules. You can also find a copy of this online, as well as all 3 of these. But before we, I guess, finish this off, I want to show you 2 other cool things. And the first of the things is a poster. Now, you can hang this up. I'd recommend using either the other side, which we'll show in a second, or just folding it in half and hanging up this area. But it comes with a little comic, which you can pause and look at. I'm sorry I'm shaky, but hopefully you can get a good pause there. And then you also get these 2 panels here, which basically tells a little story. And also, these come in every single one of the Heroica sets as a poster. I only have 2 of them, which I'm about to talk about later as well, but they come in every one of the sets. Here you can see how to assemble your game, since you make all the pieces separately in the instruction manual, and this is where you start, based on this green symbol here, and this is where you end up, fighting the Goblin General. On the back, you can see this massive monstrosity of a creation, and this is all 4 of the games combined. Now, you may have recognized that I say 4 instead of 5, because for some reason, Ilrion is not on here, the rarest of the games, which I have, surprisingly. But you can combine the games. Each of the bigger games come with 2 of these little connectors, so you can connect them at different points to kind of build a massive RPG-style dungeon crawler. But this is what it looks like with the 2 sets that I have combined. This is Ilrion, the rarest of the games, and then Draida, the most common of the games. But yeah, they look pretty good combined, especially at the waterfall. And I definitely want to get more of the games. I want to eventually have all 5 of them, 6 of them if you count the polybag. But with these combined, you have more enemies, more objectives, and most importantly, more players. So you can actually add players. Ilrion's a lot more complicated than Draida, being a larger game and all. So you get 2 more players as well, the Prince and this other guy, which I think is also a mage or a spellcaster of some sort. You also get a king in that set, but I actually have a video on that. I should link that in the description, but I don't know how to do that, so you can search it up. You'll find it eventually. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool that you can combine these older games together. But yeah, I do hope you enjoyed, and I hope you found this video helpful, especially if you're trying to learn Heroica. If you do have all the games, congratulations, you're cool. And I definitely want to try and get all the games eventually, and the polybag, which is going to be harder to find since I don't really do online stuff. But yeah, I quite like this game. I quite like having the poster and all that with it. I shall see you next time. Goodbye.